Okay, so this gentleman on screen is Paul Tudor Jones, and this gentleman on screen is our own Pierre. And both of them share a belief that technical analysis leads fundamentals. And sometimes I agree with them. And I think, particularly of late, we've had so many technical things that have panned out and things that we've shared with you. And we're going to be covering some of that today as well. Ashley's going to show you go through M2 and also go through Earth and Sky. Pierre was going to try attend, but I don't know if he can. He's on the farm and the internet's not great. But I still do pay attention to fundamentals, and I pay attention to fundamentals more so for stocks and crypto than for FX. For FX at the moment, it's tricky because the normal rules that we're looking at, inflation, interest rate, and growth, have really gone out of the window of late. And then with the mayhem that's going on in the US with Trump and all the rest of it is going on, it's getting harder and harder to assimilate with fundamentals. But in recent weeks and months, and in fact, just in the last 6 weeks, things that I have shared with you that have made significant profits, all based on technical as a starting point. And you can find recordings of my previous webinar sessions and blog posts and things in here. If you scroll down the homepage and you go to the investing corner, then you will see what I have been posting recently, including the most recent one was a stock I bought a week ago, I think, that was up 460%, and another one just after I finished making the video that went up 150%, all using M2. So as ever, go check it out. There is a full education program, really, if you just go back to what's gone on in the last month that we've been posting. So on the 1st of May, I said it appears that the USA and stocks are drifting higher, and I was a bit concerned about the news, and I'd taken a Bitcoin trade that I flagged patterned, and I shared with you the flag pattern, and we can have a look at that in a moment as well as. And if it works, it would suggest that Bitcoin could be on its way back to all-time highs. Now, if we're going to hold a round of applause, you can all start now. Thank you very much, because Bitcoin hit all-time highs again yesterday, or certainly has retested back up at the top. And that was something I signaled with you on the 1st of May. And if you go into the post I did on the 2nd of May, this you will find, the cynics amongst you, to make sure I'm telling you the truth. This was the video. This was recorded on the 3rd of May. Oh, well, no, that was the 9th of May. So this was the recording. So if you go back and have a look, this was a Bitcoin trade I took. I bought physical Bitcoin here. I shared with you I bought Bitcoin at 76.5, 81.5. I even paid 105 the other week for some. So this was a flag pattern, and the flag pattern suggested that this would be a big move. And so I've shared that with you of late, and it's actually clearer if we have a look on here on MetaTrader. So I shared this in recent weeks. So this is a step-by-step kind of flag pattern that's been going on. And what I've shared with you here is that that flag pattern was suggesting a $12,000 move. And if we measure from the bottom to there, well, it went 13.5. That was good. And then the next flag pattern, so this flag pattern here suggests that was going to be a $12,000 move rather, and spookily that was a $12,000 move. And then the last one I'd done, where I'd measured from here to here again for 12,000, suggested we were on our way for 113 or whatever. So again, and then the initial one I'd done from the 1st of May, where's that one gone? And that was done more on a longer time frame, really. But again, it panned out and it worked. And I have shared with you recently silver. So within those blog posts I've done within the last month, I shared with you on silver. And I have been talking about silver and why I've been buying silver for the last 3 years and why I keep banging on about it. And that was a suggestion of a flag pattern that silver was going to move 560 points. And silver so far has moved 527. So that ain't bad either, is it? And again, the 570 would take it up to around $37.50. And I have begun to put lines on my silver charts now, because with silver, we are at the highs from since 2011, 2012. So I started to put lines on, because thinking, well, where is it going to reject? Where is it going to react? And a major area that we're coming up to next is 3750 that you can see here. This was 2011. And then the next level I've got in here is 39.80, which actually spiked through. So $40 is going to be a big hurdle. Next one after that is 43, and where it settled last time would be 47, and you would anticipate it would test the all-time high, because that's what tends to happen. Because in another blog post and in previous meetings that we've had here, when the S&P did its run, and this was the Trump blink I've shared with you before, I posted initially that I expected price to struggle here, and it took a week or so to break through. And then I posted and I explained in the videos and the live training sessions that it was probable that that Wall Street and the market makers would push this to 6,000, which is exactly what it did. And it rejected there to the pip, as I showed you last week, and it's trying again at the moment. I think it's closed at 6,002 yesterday, spinning top indecision candle. And I also shared with you how I have scaled out of lots of things, and I may have got out too soon, but I'm okay with that because I have made significant profits this year from stocks and metal and gold and silver and crypto. And all of this based around predominantly technical analysis. Although I say with stocks and crypto, I do use fundamentals as well as. So on the 21st of May, I bought some more Bitcoin. Now I explained I could never envisage paying $105,000 for Bitcoin, but the money that I used to buy some more Bitcoin, and it wasn't a full one, but the money that I used, I had generated from profits on smaller altcoins. And so I've shared with you before how we made 500% gain in 3 weeks prior to Christmas on HBAR, which is another stock. So again, looking at all markets, and part of what I'm going to share with you today as well, you might say, oh, I've not got enough money to buy trade silver and stocks and things. Well, yes, you have. I'm going to share with you how I have been using options so that I can buy large quantities of stocks at a cheaper price using the same M2 analysis. I'm also going to share with you, I explained last week, we had one of our members, Marcel, has been testing a funded crypto account, and I have signed up for it as well as, so we're going to have a go at that, because there's no way on earth I would be willing to risk real money on a crypto trading account, because you will just get blown out of the water. And there was a guy recently on Twitter, I think lost 10 million. He'd made a lot of money from crypto, been fortunate, had the cojones to take the trades, but used far too much leverage and woke up one morning and it had all gone. So not going to play that game, but I am going to play with other people's money. So bought more crypto, more gold. That was an update on the 21st. Oh, and also at that time, I shared with you my high yield income ETF. So again, if you haven't, the conventional wisdom is that you need to have a minimum of $1 million in a stock pension account to be able to retire. And $1 million ain't enough these days, because the dividends that the S&P companies are paying out is averaging about 3%, which is terrible when you take inflation into account. So at that point, on the 21st of May, my interest I had received, I spent just over 10,000 by that point, starting on the 10th of March, and I bought another $1,000, so maybe 10 and a half now, and I bought that in May. So as of today, my first purchases are 3 months old, and as of today, I've got it written down somewhere. Let me share quickly with you. So you're going to have to watch quickly here, because I'm not sharing this for long. This is my dividend payments on those stocks and shares. And the reason why I've whizzed off is because members of my investing group, for which I have done a shed load of work, they get to see the portfolio that I bought. But it's just showing you again that there are the potentials. And again, I was talking to Ashley last week. Ashley's generation, when it comes to buying property, anybody that's probably below 40 now is going to struggle to buy property. Although, having said that, they're going to struggle to buy property in the areas that they want. So if you grew up in London and you wanted to buy a house in London and you're not earning at least 200,000 a year, then it's unlikely you're going to be able to afford it. However, you can go to the north of England and buy things for 100 grand. And I'm talking nice houses, well built, 70, 80 years old, and you can buy them for less than 100 grand and they'll give you 6% yield. So you can buy property still, but it's not as easy when I was doing it 20, 30 years ago. And I was talking to Rich Friesen recently, and Rich is mid 70s now, maybe late 70s. And he was kind of saying that in a way, in America, he lived through the golden age after the Second World War. You could do anything, be anything. With an average income, you could afford to buy a house, you could afford kids, you could afford a car. And those days have changed. But on the positive side, you now have access to creative ways to make money using other people's money. So it's not all doom and gloom. So, there's a positive spin to everything. Excuse me, sir, I just need a sip of my tea. Indeed, I was born in Leeds. I have houses in Leeds. I sold one recently in Leeds. I got 120,000 for it. It's a three-bedroom, a terrace house, and the yield on it, it was getting 850 a month rent, and it would probably now be getting you 950 rent. So you're wrong, my friend. If you go to auction, you can still buy them for less than 100k and then do them up and then mortgage them. But that's a subject for another day. And certainly with my accent, you wouldn't think I'm a Londoner either. Right, so here on the 21st, I bought more crypto and I bought more gold and why and how. So again, have a go through here. I made a lot of profit from stocks since I bought the dips on the 9th of May. And again, I shared with you there, Trump blinked, the S&P set off again because he backed off because the bond market looked as though it was going to collapse. And as I said, that was talking about my high yield as well. So you can go through that. And as ever, we're talking about which investing cycle I am focused on next. And I have got twitchy with the US stocks, and I shared with you last week. I have taken profit on quite a lot of them. I don't normally buy blue chip stocks because the potential gains are so poor. But this time I made at least 25% on most of them, 50, 60, 70% on some of them. So I've taken profits, partly because the US dollar's down 8% against the pound and the euro this year. So the dollar is eroding some of the profits. But the other thing is, I just think that the American markets are so overblown. Trump's tariffs have not really started to bite yet. And I mean, you now look, there's rioting in LA. It's all becoming a bit of a mess, big time. I don't want to have too much exposure to US stocks. So I took profits. I may look back afterwards and think, well, okay, but I'm cool with it. I have to say, if I stop now for the year, I think my stock portfolio is up about 65% this year. So 65%, a hedge fund will not make you that in 10 years, but I am a contrarian. And so me getting out at the top, you may look at that as being contrarian as well as. So once again, I'm reducing my exposure to US investments in US stocks, and I explained about the tariffs and about the inflation, etc. So again, you could go into here, and there's now an AI recap for all of the webinars we do. Saves me and actually typing loads of things out as well. So then on the 29th, so FX update and Bitcoin to 117 and ETH to 3,450. So I was sharing some Forex trades, but also because again, we were going back to this idea of the flag patterns, and the flag pattern on ETH is still intact. And the theory goes that if Ethereum breaks higher, and there are a lot of fundamental reasons to think that Ethereum could go higher. I actually did buy some more last week at 2.4. The theory goes, I've forgotten now how big the poll was, $1,000. The theory goes this is going to go up $1,000, which will take us to 3,400. So let's put a line in now. So that would be the theory of a flag pattern is we're off to 3,400. Come on, you thing. So I'm squinting to see in the bright sunlight. Here we go. Somewhere in there. So that's the theory of the flag pattern. And I say, you look at it and say, oh, it's all mumbo jumbo and it's all nonsense. Well, that worked and that worked. And that's within the last month. Okay. So back to all of this. Where have we gone? On the 3rd of June, talked about different trading strategies, talked about pulling out of the US markets again and what I was up to. I had a video, something. Oh, this is one I showed you. So this is on the 6th of June. So as per my update in the forum, I sold or took substantial profits off a lot of stocks. Yesterday, I also bought Bitcoin and Ethereum and smaller amounts of my other crypto portfolio. Buying other parts of my crypto portfolio at the moment are contrarian. It's not going anywhere. And even technically, it's not an M2 trade. But whilst everybody else has lost interest, I am buying some of the smaller ones. I'm not buying crazies, although I did buy a crazy one the other week, a Pengu Pigeon or some nonsense for a few $100. But in general, I am still just buying my A grade portfolio of USA crypto, i.e. the ones that we think will do best with Trump, which have already made massive gains since he came in. And you've got the Trump brothers fundamentally are pumping Ethereum at the moment. They're also pumping Trump again, which that was forever was a pump and dump. But there's so much going on, and the the SEC are supposed to report back within the next 6 weeks as for a new set of rules and regulations for crypto adoption. And I've also explained to you how it's beneficial to the US dollar because the bond market prices of bonds are going up again, the amount of money that the US government has to pay out in interest. But if more people come into crypto and have to use the stable coins, and in America they will have to use the American regulated stable coins, those stable coin companies have to own US treasuries. So it's all interlinked as ever. And so on here, I showed it 10 minutes 15 into this video. This was an M2 breakout. This was qubits. And this was, again, being in the right sector at the right time. I bought half a dozen quantum computing stocks and they shot up. And that one, as I say, went up. I put the telegram out to the investing group end of April, beginning of May, and it shot up 460%, which is nuts. But then this one here, Zena, on the day was at 445, which was up, I believe, was up about 50%. And a few hours after I recorded the video, that one then went nuts as well, and it shot up to 650. So again, being in the right sector at the right time has been useful. Now, I shared with you the week I was trying to get into European and UK defense stocks, and they're all at all-time highs or very high, so I'm not buying at the moment. But I did buy some uranium the other day. More and more companies in the US now are needing more power. The electricity system is not able to cope with what they've already got, and the usage for electricity is forecast to double in the next few years. So they need more electricity. So now they're starting to go more into nuclear, which means you need uranium. You need to be a member of my other website, Khalid. That's the investing group. So that is that one. And then what else did I have to show you? So this was the silver, the flag pattern I've just shown you as well. I shared with you previously, I was buying silver on pullbacks at 31.50, at 30, and the lowest one I bought more at 29. And as we know, I started buying this when it was $17 and shared that with you back in 2022. Other things I've been doing, EXK, options, another thing to do. So when we talk about buying stocks, for example, I bought some stocks the other day. Where is it gone? This is a stock I own a lot of. I've been buying this one. And if you remember with the investing group, we bought it last year at the COVID low when it was 438. And this one went up. Oh, how much did this one go last year? Was this the big one? That one went 100% last year. So I've been buying this over the summer, contrarian again, but I'm buying it because I believed that silver would be going up. And it was nuts because silver was retesting these kind of levels where the price was at highs last year and again in November, October, and yet this was down here. So I bought more stocks. I also bought 4 options on this. I bought 4 calls. And the basis of a call is, and I am simply at the minute options 101. The guy I was paying to teach me has disappeared, so I am not doing anything complicated. And some of you in here will know it better than me. So this really is the basics of trading options. But I bought more recently in here around 550. And so what I also did though, on this date here, the 5th of May, I bought 4 option calls. And I bought them betting, in effect, because that's what you're doing. I was betting that the price would be by December, anytime between now and December, that the price would be above 550. And then I also bought some up at $7. And the 550 ones cost me, hang on, I've got it written down. Well, I paid $300 in total. I think I paid 135 for 100 stocks here. So one option contract is 100 stocks. So I paid 135 instead of paying 550. And altogether I paid $300 and that gave me 400 stocks. If I was wanting to, no, sorry, 300 stocks. So if I was wanting to buy 300 stocks, it would have cost me $1,650. Well, not everybody's got $1,650 they're willing to risk in stocks. However, by using options, I only paid $300. Had I bought them and sold them all now, my stocks, I would have earned $900. And by only paying $300, if I sold them all now, I would have made $750. So the difference by being able to utilize other people's money by buying options using technical analysis, M2, mixed with some fundamentals, has enabled me to make significantly more profit again. And what I've done now is I've sold two of them and banked the profit. And so I have banked already now $477. So I have $170 profit, and it means that the other two are bought and paid for. And if silver keeps going up, there is a good chance that this could go significantly higher. And I sold the $7 ones. So the ones I've got left give me the right, but not the obligation, to buy 200 stocks at $5 anytime now between now and the 16th of December. So that's one way of using other people's money. Then the other one I just shared with you, I showed you quickly my interest. So my interest was it $1,460 on ETFs I bought, ETFs that are paying. So Tesla, I have got the Tesla one, although I hedged it with an alternative one. But for example, you've got Apple here. I don't know if I bought Apple in there, and I've got Nvidia. If you buy Nvidia at the moment on YieldMax, it's paying you an annual interest rate of 131%, which is nuts. But I bought these at a time when the price was significantly down, and as a result of which, my balance, the amount I've paid out, the 10.5 grand, is still the same. But I've made $1,450, $60 interest, which if you take that, so that's for 3 months. So you take that over the year at the minute, I'm running at 60% interest. However, there are people you will see on YouTube who were buying these much, much higher. And I'd watched this for a year because I wasn't in a rush to get involved at the time. But I shared with you here to a degree, and I also shared with the investing group why I was buying them. Where the heck's it gone? I'm sure I've got a few in here. Um, Gosh, I've got so many things going on here. Just talk amongst yourselves. Let me find one. Let me add AMZY. Yep. So this is AMZY. You'll see people on YouTube who were buying back last year up here, and therefore, yes, they made a lot of interest, but the value of the ETF has gone down significantly, and therefore they at the moment are in a net situation. And it is an area of concern, and I do need to talk to them because if the stock market tanks, which I think it will, I need to be sure that this is still going to be profitable, otherwise I may have to get out. But the way I looked at this, with 100 grand invested in this, if it's paying you 45% a year, that is far more than you would get for $1 million in a conventional S&P fund if you're thinking about retirement. So again, you're not putting your house on this. I've only put 10 grand in it on the live account, but because I've bought down here using my technical skills and fundamental, I'm doing okay. I say you'll find people on YouTube, some of them were bought last year up here, are not happy, and I will decide later on whether I'm going to keep them or not. So in here, last week I was sharing that I was taking some profits on things. I was not taking profit on mining stocks, and I have not sold any gold and silver because if I sell them, I create a taxable event and then I end up wanting to get back in again as well. And for me, on stocks and gold, I have to pay 28% a year tax. But if you were trading AAEM, one of my stocks, mining stock, and again, these were M2 breakouts, M2 breakout pullback. The other day would be the area you would be seriously thinking about it because this was all-time high level, I believe, double top. And that's what I started to look at. This is that AG I was showing you. This is where I sold two of my options contracts the other day. I've kept the stocks. I did buy a bit of this yesterday on an option. I bought more. I actually bought stocks, and then I've just bought a few options just to try because this does not fit my normal rules. But looking into the fundamentals of this company, I'm quite interested in. It's potentially 100% gain back to where it was in November. AGI, Alamos Gold, I hold that in a pension. What else did we do last week? Uranium, I bought some uranium stocks yesterday. I bought some Sprott miners and I bought Sprott junior miners. Again, not fitting my normal rules, but the world's going more and more nuclear. And my favourite stock, CCJ, I missed, a Canadian miner that I made a lot of money out of last year. I've missed it at the moment, so I'm waiting for them to come back down again. And then of the blue chips, so these were the blue chips. So remember, let's go back. Where's my thing gone? I changed the list yesterday to try and make it easy to find things, and now I can't remember what code I've given each of them. So you have to bear with me. Why Forex? Here we go. So if you recall, this was when Trump blinked. This was the bond market coming down to retest a dangerous area, at which point the bond market was in danger of collapsing. So at that point, he said, okay, we'll give them everybody another 90 days. We were back down there the other week. So that was the Trump blink, and that was the effect it had on the S&P at the same time, which is why I piled in and why I got out the other day, because I've had a really good run out of this and I'm not being greedy. And I also, the Nasdaq, what I said with the S&P, as I say, earlier in the year, it would be logical for it to retest 6,000. It might carry on, but I personally think that will be a blow off top and then it will tank. I've got the cash, I've got more money into gold and silver and crypto, and I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue with what I'm doing. Gold, at the moment, I have an alarm set if it pulls back down to 3.2. And I actually took a trade on gold yesterday. One of the other things that we're doing, so we're looking at this crypto thing I'm going to show you in a minute. But John, I don't know if John's with us this morning. John and I are also testing a gold strategy using FX2 or 5%ers, whoever you want to use. FX2 have got an offer on at the minute. I bought a 50 grand challenge yesterday for a one-step challenge, normally 285, and I paid $199. So something for you to consider. And again, using other folks' money. And silver, as we've just shown from the flag pattern break. EXK, so again, one of my favorites, the one that made 260% last year, been buying lots of here in the summer. Sorry, in the summer, in the spring. Some Forex, what else we got? So this is the bond market. Again, this is the 10-year note. And this is the one that's a worry for the US government, the 30-year. If this starts getting up here again, Trump is going to blink again, because that's what broke the Bank of England, how they broke Liz Truss in the UK. UK index, the UK index is up because the Americans is down, I think, as much as anything, but it's up at a double top at the moment. And then for Bitcoin, say we came up again yesterday, almost all-time highs, retest again. There was some momentum at the week. The weekend tends to be quiet, and then there was some real momentum yesterday. Ethereum I've shared with you before. Where are we going? Here we go. So the one I got out of that I do regret in retrospect is Google. But I bought Google down here, and so I'd made 10% on it. My concern was I thought the NFP might be bad on Friday, which would tank everything. Technically, that is still an M2, although I think to get in now, it won't give me the 25% minimum. Palantir, I took 50% off here last week, and I have the stop on the balance here. I do want to keep this, and I do think this is going to continue to do well, but I have alarm set. I would rather be able to buy again if we drop back down to 100. Meta, I closed 80% of it up here. Bear in mind, I had bought it down here. And they say normally the blue chips, you don't make this kind of money on a blue chip stock. But I made 28% on it. I'm cool with that. Sold 70% of my Nvidia. Again, I do want to be in this for the long term, but I made 30%. S&P 6,000 getting twitchy. There's nothing worse than being up here and then sitting and hanging on for that extra little bit and then watching it all come back down again. Been there, done that. Microsoft closed 80% of it. Once again, you don't normally make this kind of profit on Microsoft. I made 25% on that. Amazon, I closed 75. Again, I believe Amazon is a good company and will do well with AI and everything else that's going on. But I don't want to sit and watch it all come back down and hit me and bite me on the butt. This is that yield max I've just explained to you. I've shown you my tasty trade. This is FX2. They've got MT5 platform back again, and the code, there is a discount code platform 5 if you want to take the discount. So this then is my breakoutprop.com, and it's stopped. Oh, there we go. If you decide to do this before you do it, let me know, because I wasted 4 hours on Sunday trying to get this damn thing to work. And it turned out that there's some things that actually don't work now, but they didn't mention it. And there is a bit of fiddling around to do with it. But this gives you some leverage on crypto. And there are up to 100 tokens you can trade. You have to manually have a look and find them, but it's a way of doing it. Now, the thing that really peed me off, this is a 4 hour chart. I bought some more crypto for Andy, the guy I was sharing with the members the other week, a guy I've helped to build a portfolio. We bought some more at 100,400 physical Bitcoin, and I didn't have this account set up in time. And had I done that, I would have smashed the target on one Bitcoin trade. Let me show you what happened with Bitcoin last week. And I took the EMAs off to make this a bit cleaner. Let me just put an EMA back on. There. How sweet was that? Previous support and resistance, 100,000, and it touched the 55 EMA, I say, and I watched it and I bought it for my mate. So he's happy, he's up 9%. I would have been much happier if I'd frigging got round to setting up this account properly in time. So that's another way of you. These are two ways of using other people's money. So what I'm thinking now is, so with Marcel and I, we're looking at crypto and saying, okay, it cost 110,000. Sorry, 110. It cost $110 for a $10,000 crypto account. So $110, if I am willing to risk $100 a week on crypto, I can just go for it and not mess around going just at 0.5% or anything. You're allowed 6% drawdown, so I'm going to use at least 1% risk per trade. I'm only going to go for big moves. I'm not interested in scalping. And if it blows it up, it don't matter because I'll just buy another one for $100. And believe me, with crypto, if you were trading crypto, you can lose $1,000 in a heartbeat. And then the other side with John and I can't show you John's results at the minute because it's got his name and details on it. But John made significant profits last week trading gold on the strategy we're looking at. So again, well, rather than tie up lots of money or move money from something else, another asset class, is use something like this. An FX2, one of our members last year got paid out 70 grand. So one of my private students. So we know that they pay out, and I haven't seen any negative press anywhere about them. And I personally have taken money out from them. So I have found these to be trustworthy. Ashley also uses the 5%ers, and folks use FTMO. So pick your one, pick the one where the rules are the best. So you're not under a time limit or anything, and pick the best ones in terms of the stops and things like that. So two things there. With $100 spent on FX2, you could get, I think you can get a $25 account. On $100 spent on a crypto account, you've got access to a decent amount of money with a fixed potential loss. And you can then be more aggressive. That's what we're thinking. That's what we're looking at. Pierre has posted this morning. I don't know if Pierre managed to join us today. Is Pierre here? No, Pierre's not managed to get here. Yeah, it depends where the satellite is, apparently above the farm, whether he can log in or not. Dan says, have you set up an M2 template for C-Trader when training an FX2 account? No, we haven't done. I do all my analysis on MT4. I like MT4. I've been looking at these charts for 20 years. It's clean. I just really like this. I use C-Trader to place the trades. And actually, Dan, it's actually better. I told the tale before years ago, 20 years ago, I was having my best week ever. I was $8,000 up on a trade, and it came to the end of the week and I put it on the demo account by mistake. I have so many trials and tribulations in this business, as you all have, and they're frustrated. But believe me, 8 grand on a high, got to Thursday and suddenly realized I put it on the wrong bloody account. I now have a separate computer that is just the one I use for placing trades. At the minute, the FX2 one I've got is C Trader. I'm not mad on it, but it's okay. I This one for the crypto is a D Trader or something. Ashley knows the name of it, and the new FX2 one you can do on MT5 now, and also I use TradingView, but I place all the trades on one computer and not on MT4. That's at DXTrade. Uh, right, I've seen all the comments. I think I don't know if there's
The
any.
FX2, have they got MT5 back again?
Yes,
Okay, because last time when I got it, they
yeah, they
lost the
lost it.
license again,
Yeah, yeah,
and
they've
then they
got it
went to
back.
C Trader. They,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, they've got it
okay.
back. So he got it. They sent the message out 2 or 3 days ago, and
Oh
I
yeah,
say, uh,
fan is back. Okay.
they're knocking 30% off, so it's a no-brainer to me. I can't remember if there's anything else I wanted to share with folks. Let's have a quick look. Uh, no. So, the moral of the story is that there are opportunities everywhere. I have shown you how, since the Trump blink on the 9th of April, I have shown you in these live training sessions and in my updates multiple ways to make money in multiple markets using the same strategy and I'm now showing you how you could do it using other people's money and how using options I was able to buy 300 stocks for, what was it gone again? $450. No, $300. I can't remember the maths now. Anyway, the difference was I would either be paying out $1,650 or I would be paying out $300. So if you haven't got that much money and you are understand options a bit, it is just another way to creatively use other people's money to make profit. So now you've no excuse because for me 20 years ago these options didn't apply. And my original plan was to trade $100,000. And because after 2.5 years I'd lost 20 odd and spent another 10 on junk and gurus, my missus was not of the mind that we would be putting 100,000 in, quite rightly. And at the time, I was very, very, very lucky that Rich Friesen introduced me to a fund in America whose trader, well, senior trader had a heart attack, which was a clue. Um, you can't do that. You certainly couldn't do what these funds are offering now. So you've got the world at your feet, you lot, and you've got the knowledge here, but half of you don't bother watching the videos or they don't bother listening to recordings or what we tell you, and it's very frustrating for us. Ashley says, "Hi Dan, C Trader is not bad. I find DX Trade more complicated." Yeah, DX Trade is fiddly. It's very fiddly when you're trying to calculate the lot size. Oh, John's in the room. Hi, John. So John is with us this morning. He's the one who's testing the gold strategy out as well, and he's going to create some rules and things for us on that one. So all good, all using M2, all looking at multiple markets. So when you get people occasionally whinging the forum, oh, I'm waiting and waiting for Forex trades. Hey, we just made thousands on this, or we made thousands on that, and you can do it, and we teach you, and we've shown you, and we even tell you what we're going to do, when and why. So we started off this talking about fundamentals, a technical lead in the way, and I've shown you lots of examples of flag patterns of late that have worked beautifully. So improve your technical knowledge, understand fundamentals as well if you want to get involved in stocks. But it's there and the money is there for you. Right. I think that's it for questions. Right. I will hand you over to Ashley now today. He's not going to be able to whinge because he's got 20 minutes. Anybody else has any questions? Stick it. Oh, yeah, 20 minutes to do M2 and the Earth and Sky. Anybody else has any questions for me? Stick them in the chat box while I'm just going to go grab a drink.